Yeah, it's time for more Neverwinter Nights 2. I've done the other two campaigns, so we're kind of left with the original official campaign, or the Ook, as I may end up calling it. But there's a reason I've been putting off the first. It's not really my favorite. Storm of Zahir is kind of the strawberry. If you know, this is Neapolitan ice cream. There are 3 flavors. Strawberry, not everybody likes strawberry, but you know, there's some flavor to it. You know, there's something I have an opinion about at least. Mask of the Betrayer is obviously the chocolate. It's the best stuff. The original official campaign, well, let's just say it's kind of vanilla. You know, Storm of Zahir, it was sort of trite and hackneyed and all that good stuff, but, you know, it kind of had a sense of humor about it. The original campaign takes itself seriously, and I don't know.
So many years ago today.
There's a tutorial here.
Ah, my foster son is up and dressed.
Yeah, clearly foster son.
Yeah,
right. Anyway, I'm not actually going to skip the tutorial. I'm going to do the actual tutorial, but I'm going to do it rather quickly, and I may actually do part of it off screen.
Galen, last see your friend.
Because there's you know, at least some dialogue here that, you know, it's worth recording, I guess. Nothing real important. Our character is, the build is linked in the video description, so if you have any questions, that's where to go for it. It's based on an idea I had for just sort of how to keep this interesting, and also based on a request from somebody in one of my channel comments who wanted sort of playing against character.
Last chance to compete for the Harvest Cup.
Shut up.
Our last chance to sign up with.
Yeah, anyway, this Harvest Cup is the tutorial. And so we have 3 party members. For the longest time I thought this girl's name was Arnie, but it's actually Amy. And, you know, you look at it in this, and yeah, okay, it looks kind of like an R and an N. Anyway.
Yes, indeed.
And then there's Bevel. Bevel will actually be in our party for a little while. Not a whole lot of time, but, you know, a little while. And he's a fairly standard fighter. Arnie, as I'll continue to call her just because it's funny, is a mage. But this conversation here is really the reason why I wanted to record this.
And the blight. You're sure it's spreading, Orlin?
It's no blight, Georg. It's something else. There's no mold, no rot. It's like the crops don't want to grow. Like they haven't the guts to up and face the sun.
What do the druids say?
Well, it's just a rub, Georg. There's no druids to be found. Not head nor heel. It used to be they'd warned me of troubles, long before I noticed the signs myself. But this time, we're out in silence. You think we ought to say something? Everyone's gathered for the fair, even from the outlying farms.
No. They ought to be free from cares, at least for a day. We'll go round tomorrow. Talk to the households one by one.
Right you are, Georg. Tomorrow, then.
Aha! I've been wondering when I'd see the 3 of you.
Right,
Win
anyway,
all 4, and the village, if you haven't...
There's the tutorial thing. I'm probably going to do most of the tutorial off screen, but the tutorial fights and challenges put you up to level 3, so you can see that in the sort of talk there. But there are a couple things I want to do on screen here because they're actually sort of going to matter for the other challenge I've set up for myself. This character is a barbarian for now. He's a half-orc. You gotta, have some barbarian. But he's going to spend most of the game as an Eldritch Knight. And since, you know, it's sort of out of character to have a half-orc with a decent intelligence, this half-orc is also going to be the insufferable know-it-all, as I'd like to characterize it, and I'm going to learn and cast every single wizard spell, which means I'll have to be a generalist, which means I don't get as many bonus spells, which means, well, this character's not going to be a super power as they go, but he's not going to be a slouch either. If you look at sort of the fancier Eldritch Knight builds, most of them include a higher strength, just because most of the wizard spells, you know, having additional int, unless there's a saving throw, the additional int doesn't do you a lot. So the higher strength makes him a better fighter, and, you know, for the early game at least, being a good fighter is going to be important. I am playing this game on sort of the highest difficulty. Anyway, there's the spell casting little tutorial here. And, you know, it's more or less you start by just following the instructions. We cast a summon spell, and then you cast an enlarge person spell, and, you know, make one of the kids big. And you can see why I'm going to skip most of this tutorial, because it's boring. But, yeah, well, there's a certain amount of boring that's just in this. Now, this barrel here is sort of amusing. You don't actually have to use an attack spell on it. You could just cast Daze at it, and it, quote-unquote, destroys the barrel. Daze doesn't do damage. Okay, well, you know. Anyway, the reason we did that is because it gives us, well, alright, he wants us to take a look at his pig. Anyways, gives us a bunch of spell scrolls. Now, these spell scrolls, well, since you can only learn 2 spells a level as a wizard, you get a bunch at first. Learning spells from scrolls is how I'm going to achieve my little learn every spell in the game trick. So these 3 spells here are, well, lesser spells, not that useful, but I'm going to end up using it anyways. Some of the spells I'm just going to find an arbitrary reason to use. But since we've seen that little discussion there at the start, and we've got our spell scrolls, which are kind of important, I'm just going to do the rest of this off screen because, well, it's pretty much, you know, tutorial. And since you're not playing the game, I am. There's not really much point to showing the tutorial. I'll join you again at the end. Okay, so that was the bits of the tutorial I'm showing. There were some other things. We beat up the Mossfelds, who are apparently our local, you know, the local bullies, and we, you know, shot some arrows and we practiced some thief skills, and it'll all become obvious soon enough how this interface works or not, and maybe it really doesn't matter to you watching, but hey, you know.
Gather round, mates! Gather round! This harvest fair's a celebration, but it's also a dark anniversary. We all know what else happened on this day. Not so long ago, we nearly lost this village. Almost lost our lives. Almost lost it all. But we came back. Cleared burnt farms, buried our dead, and put our ashes behind us. And we rebuilt, tougher and stronger than ever. Long as there's a harvest fair, we won't forget that day. And our young folks, they'll stay tough, long as they compete for the Harvest Cup. So let's hear it for this year's winners. 3 cheers for the Harvest Champions! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray!
Oh, get on with it! Third.
Hip, hip, hooray!
Thank you! Right. That's it for the tutorial. To close this video, and I'll just stop talking here, I'll show the video that shows at the beginning of the game.